I don't know if I'll use it or not. I have
Yeah,
no.
I mean, we don't even question, like
So let me just say, like,
sports.
let me just, in case we do use this, I just want to frame it. It's like, so I really, like, we're wrapping up this part of the program, and I just felt like, I know that there is a lot of new stuff that we're filming, and we're putting out there. And at the same time, always in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about like this stuff that the way that you lucid dream and the way that I want to do this and the level that we want to take it, all the cool things we want to have people to be able to experience, whether it's being able to dream anytime they want, or improve different aspects of their life through lucid dreaming, solve problems, make their relationships better, feel amazing every day, or at least feel fulfilled every day, regardless of the circumstances of your life. Like, all these profound ways that lucid dreaming is going to affect us. And so there's a part of me that's always like, while we're doing this, it's like I feel anxious because I'm like, people, I want to get to that stuff because I know that that's what every people want to do. It's like, get me to the point where it's, like that, get to the good stuff, because it's so cool. And like, and then at the same time, I do know that, like, without going through all this stuff step by step, learning the details of the practices and actually doing them and layering them in slowly over time, that it's like, there's no way. Because I've wanted to do this for a long time, and I haven't had the success with it that I want to. And part of it is because I haven't done it the way that we're doing it here, step by step,
Right.
gradually, with that attitude. So but it's hard. It's hard for me to even be patient within myself, and to be patient for everybody else, to layer these things in this way, and know that there's so much, that the picture's so much more grand, and wanting to be there, wanting to get there now. So I don't know, just.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, it's hard. I mean, we both kind of have that attitude. I mean, I'd love to give everybody everything all at once, right? It's like, but at the same time, I know it would just be like overwhelmed to the max, right? It would just be like, oh my God, this is so difficult. It's just, there's no way I'm going to do all this stuff. So, but it's like, so doing it this way, I mean, nobody questions like learning to play baseball by, playing catch with your dad or brother or something in the backyard. And then maybe you like it so much you want to do little league, right? And so you do and they teach you the foundational stuff, and maybe you do t-ball before that, right? Where they just put the ball on it, to train your eye hand coordination, because you just don't have it yet, right? You're little. And so it's kind of the same thing. I mean, we don't question those things that are so common for us in our society, of how to train children to do certain things and go through. But now that we're adults, it's like all of a sudden we want to jump right into the, deep waters and start swimming right away, right? It's like, you might want to start in a kiddie pool, learn, how water works, and you don't breathe it in, and, like all of these things, it's like, that's kind of important, it's like how to do the basic strokes so you can stay above the deep water and not float or, sink down into the bottom of the depths, right? So, because there are plenty of people, we all know people that have had bad experience in the water, and they'll never go near the water again, right? As even as an adult, right? They're paranoid about it. So, uh, there's something to be said about doing it sort of the step-by-step process. And, we try to put in as many, um, things that are exciting, even in the foundational things. I mean, as much as that can be, like with anticipating and training the will and the meditations and things like that. I mean, all those techniques can be utilized for other things as well that we haven't gone into because our focus is lucid dreaming. But, learning those will really, really pave the way so that when you start lucid dreaming, and I mean when you start lucid dreaming, not if you start lucid dreaming, when you start lucid dreaming, that things are going to be much more manageable, much more manageable. It's not going to be this sort of fly by the seat of your pants. I don't know what's coming next. What do I do now? How do I get out of here? What, it's like all these things that come up, and all these questions come up. And every time we get a pile of new questions in there, sort of from that anxiety territory, it makes it that much, more unlikely that we're going to get in again, because there's more barriers that we've put up along the way. If it's just another, now I'm lucid, but it's still a confusing place, and I don't know what's going on, and this, that, and the other thing, right? It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a horrific scene, right? It could just be that I just can't move around in here, or I'm not comfortable, or it's just too odd. I mean, so it's like doing these foundational techniques, I think is really, really important if you really want to make this part of your life. So,
And that is a good point. That's what we're talking about. I mean, that's what we're training people to do. I mean, it's like,
oh
it's
yeah,
not just about like, I mean, for some people, it may just be knowing that it's possible, but for those people that choose to really pursue it, I mean, we want to build it out so that the people that want to truly make it a part of their life, a new way of life in many ways, that
yeah.
they can go to that extent, and that it will serve them to, no matter how far they want to take it. So I think that's a really good point. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's, we don't do a lot of things for the short run. And so at least I've never done that very much. It's like, I can't remember too many things that I've done that I thought, oh, this has a very short life expectancy here. It's like, I've always done things that, that I could incorporate into my life that would have, that give me certain advantages that help me in my life in every way that I can think of that matters, and utilize it and make it better, make it so that it's a very strong technique for me that works over and over and over again, no matter what situation. It's the principle behind it that's actually working, right? And if I modify it over time because I have a different understanding or whatever, but still it's without those foundational pieces, which I really, the way I learned it, I didn't really have a choice. Like, there wasn't the internet, there wasn't all of these other people writing tons of books, or all these other people putting out programs. And, it's like, I had the people, teachers around me that knew what they were doing from a different culture. And there was I didn't have any choice in it. I mean, I could do it or not do it, but I didn't have any choice of the program. I didn't have an aspect where I could say, oh, when are we going to get to the good stuff? It was like, like do your meditation, it's like, or whatever, it's like, can how long can you do this? How long can you do that? Like, what's this like? What's this like? What's the burning like? It was like, all these things had to sort of be in alignment to move to the next stage. If it happened accidentally, they just thought that, that was kind of luck, just, you tripped into it basically. But otherwise, stick to the program and it will produce that base. And yeah, it was longer, and it was way longer than what we're doing now. And so, there were months, if not years, of doing that stuff before the formal induction techniques were really, sort of given to you. So, and I don't think it's always necessary to do that, but there wasn't as much information out there as there is now. So, I was sort of locked into a certain territory. And so, not that I would have jumped ship, but, I would have been distracted had I had all these other things, flitting around, different people saying how to do it differently and different techniques. I would have messed up, the program that I was in, with, trying to do those at the same time that I was trying to do the foundational stuff. But really, in the end, I can't express how grateful I am for that, because it really did make the foundation so strong, so solid, that the rest of the things, that I did and have done in lucid dreaming came very, very easily. Easily. Still had work to do, but it wasn't like I never had to go backwards. It was always a progression forward. I never had to go back and like say, oh man, I keep getting into this situation and I keep waking up. How come this is startling me so much? It's like, no, it's like, the foundations were there and were cultivated for, in such a good way that it was like, I knew what was happening when things were happening. Even if they went south, I knew why. and I could evaluate it, and then the next time go in and change something and do something differently, right? But it was never about like, oh, I'm too distracted in the dream. I get lucid all the time, but then I go right back into a regular dream. Or, like, oh, I tried to move, but my feet were like lead weights. I couldn't really get around. And, all of these things that we, I take for granted now, but not really either. I understand it was like, from this process of training these foundational things, it really has made such a solid base that I could concentrate on the things that were, more important, right? It's like the foundation was there. So then when I got to a place where I could really explore, really do, I had the tools to do that and to be really engaged in it without thinking like, oh, I'm losing the dream. Let me double, oh, I don't feel like I can move as well. Oh, what do I do? It's like, there was none of that. I never had to go back and retrain anything. It was always just a progression forward at that point. And I think that that's really valuable, because you're not wasting your time, because there's nothing more frustrating than thinking, you're really getting to some good stuff in a lucid dream, and you're really uncovering a lot about yourself. You're really doing some good work. But then you find like, maybe there's something that's, there is something that's triggering you to be awake in the physical world, something, and you can't quite pin it down, or, you're not sure why things are happening that way. It's like, it's frustrating to find out that you don't have the tool chest that you thought you had when you get to the part where you could really open things up for yourself. So I don't want anybody to feel that. I want people to be ready, prepared, good training, good result, bad training, bad result. So it's like, I want to make sure that everybody has the ability, the tools to build that foundation so solid that when they get in, it's nothing but forward motion, and that's it.
Nice.
Yeah.